Hi everybody, this is Miss Stott and this is the screencast on matter versus non-matter. So matter is anything that has volume and mass. It must have both volume and mass. Volume means that it takes up space, and mass means that it has weight. So things that have matter are things that you can touch and feel. Even tiny things that you can't see, like atoms, which we will talk about when we get to the periodic table. Here I have three pictures of things that are matter, or are composed of matter. So we have a cow, or an eraser, and a pineapple. These things, you can hold them in your hands, you can feel the weight that they have, and they take up space in the room. What isn't matter then? I'm sure you're wondering. Things that we can feel but aren't physically there are not matter. For example, heat, happiness, anger, ideas. These are four things that are not composed of matter. Heat, for example, this is a tricky one. This is one that people could get confused with sometimes. Heat is a form of energy. So you can feel heat on your skin, but you can't actually take heat in your hands and move it to another place. So that's why it's not matter. And then happiness, anger, and ideas, these are things that are emotions or things that we think of. These are not matter because they don't take up space and they don't have weight or mass. So this is an important piece too. A lot of people get confused about whether air is matter or not. Air is matter. It takes up space and it has mass. So you can think of this when you think of balloons. So if I blow up a balloon, that balloon actually takes up space in the room. The balloon only takes up a tiny bit of space. The actual air is what's filling up that balloon and taking up more space. And it does have mass. Even though it's not very heavy, it does have mass as well. All of this is surrounding the idea of the law of conservation of matter. Conservation, this word right here, means to save. The law of conservation of matter says that matter cannot be created nor destroyed. So it can't appear out of nowhere, and it can't be destroyed and gone forever. This is around the idea that the amount of matter in a system is always the same. So if I have a box, for example, and it's full of stuff, even if I break the stuff and move it around, the same amount of matter is going to exist in that box. The same thing is true about the universe. So there is the same amount of matter and mass at the beginning of a chemical reaction as there is at the end. So in class we did our experiment with Alka-Seltzer and water, and we used the no balloon and then we used the balloon. So with the balloon we should have seen that there was almost the exact same amount of matter at the end of the reaction, even though a chemical reaction took place. So this is called the law of conservation of matter, but this is relating to the reactants and the products. So this slide says the mass of the reactants is equal to the mass of the products. This is still talking about chemical reactions. So the reactants are what we start with in a chemical reaction. So for the Alka-Seltzer and water, it was the Alka-Seltzer and the water. The products are what you end with in a chemical reaction. So for the same reaction, if we think about the balloon being on top, it was the gas and the water and Alka-Seltzer mixture that was created from the reaction. So those are the products. So whatever goes into a chemical reaction must come out. So we can't just disappear. Even when something dissolves, it's not actually gone. The mass will still be affecting the reaction. So we like to think of this as if matter changes, it's still matter. So it may change color or shape. It can combine with something else, but it's always going to be there. So the matter can't just disappear. Something that I like to think of is when we burn something. So when you burn something, the smoke is still matter. So gas is still a matter, and that's what it is. And then all of the ashes, that's still matter too. It just looks a lot different. So let's make sure we understand. Which of the following is not matter? So we have 1, donuts, 2, a plastic bottle, 3, paper, and 4, anger. Take a second to think about what you think. Okay, so if you think of the first 3, Donuts you can eat, so they obviously take up space and have mass. A plastic bottle, it takes up space in the room. Same thing with paper, even though it's really light and it doesn't take up that much space. But anger is in your mind or your feelings. It doesn't take up space. So 4 is correct. Anger is not matter. For the next one, matter cannot be 1, lost nor found, 2, created nor destroyed, 3, mass and volume, and 4, if and then. So number 4 doesn't really make sense, so I think we can eliminate that one. Same thing with number 1. So now we're down to 2 and 3. What you should have come up with is 2. So matter cannot be created nor destroyed. 3 can't be right because matter is mass and volume. And last one. If 12 grams of paper are lit on fire, the weight of the ashes and the smoke, so what's left over at the end. So let's see. 1, more than 12 grams. 2, less than 12 grams. 3, equal to 12 grams. Or 4, it depends on how big the fire is. So you should have come up with number 3, which is equal to 12 grams. The ashes and the smoke of the 12 grams of paper should weigh the same. And that's because it can't just disappear. It needs to be there somewhere, even if it's in a different form. Thanks for watching. If you have any other questions, make sure that you check in with one of the teachers.